If you're wanting to become a freelancer and work from home full time, here are 6 important steps you need to take before you quit your job. Step number 1 is you need to decide if freelancing is actually right for you. I actually have a video on that called Should I Become a Freelancer? And in that video, I give a short quiz to help you evaluate whether it's the right step for you. And you can also go and talk to people who are freelancing currently and ask them what is it like? Yeah, what are the pros, what are the cons? Do your research and then make a decision if that is the right path for you or not. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is to figure out what talent do you have that you could sell as a service in your freelancing. So what is your freelance business going to be centered on? For me, it was videography and editing and video producing and video marketing consulting. For you, it might be photography or writing or engineering or computer programming. Whatever it is, just make a list of all the talents and skills that you have, and then go through that list and highlight talents or skills that you think a business would pay you to be able to do that. And then that will help narrow down your list to marketable skills or talents that you have. Because most businesses out there these days are willing to hire and are hiring contractors to do a lot of the work. Because there's various work that needs to get done, but it only takes 5 hours a week. And so they can't really hire even a part-time employee at 5 hours a week. And so they're going to look out for freelancers to hire for those types of things. And so, yeah, just make a list of your talents, your skills, and then narrow those down to what you think is going to be a talent you have that you're going to enjoy doing all the time and that you'll enjoy selling as a service. And I would pick just your top 3 talents that you think you can turn into a freelance business. You don't have to decide on your number 1 thing right now, and maybe you already know what that is, and that's great. But at least get a top 3 list of what you think could become a good freelance business and write that. Then once you have that list, step number 3 is to write down who you think would benefit from that skill or talent that you have. Is it a business, a type of business, and type of individual? You know, if you're a videographer and you think that you have a talent for wedding videos, and maybe you've done a couple in the past, then your target audience would be newlyweds, right, instead of a business. For me, I prefer to work with businesses because I feel like you can get a lot more stable income doing contract work for businesses opposed to individuals. And there's not a whole lot of options. Like, weddings are probably one of the very few things individuals are willing to pay a freelancer for when it comes to creative work like videography. Whereas with, like, you know, you're not going to have many individuals hiring freelancers to do programming and graphic design. I mean, it's not very consistent income. So I would definitely target businesses if you want consistent and income, but also more professional relationships. Businesses understand a partnering relationship, and they know how to, like, they have accountants that are usually paying your invoices. So that's the other thing. You're more likely to get paid on time and consistently when you're working with a business. And so I suggest, that's just my opinion, I suggest working with businesses. I suggest figuring out how your talent can serve businesses. But if you really think that what you have is something that could serve individuals, by all means, go after it. Because I haven't thought of everything. Mine was just videography and editing and producing and that type of consulting work. And so for me, businesses were definitely my best option. And your service and your talent might benefit individuals and businesses, you know, but this is something you need to decide and write down so that you know who your service is for. And then from that, you can narrow down your list further and actually start writing out what types of business, like say you do choose that businesses would benefit the most from your service, and also they're the type of people you want to work with, because you have to think about who's going to benefit from your services, but also who would you enjoy working with more. And then and once you do that, then figure out, okay, well, what type of businesses would benefit most from this service? And you might think, oh, well, all businesses will. So if that's the case, like for example, my videography services, pretty much most businesses could benefit from that, because these days almost every business has to make videos of some form. But what I did is I narrowed down into a specific industry that I was most interested in, which had to do with businesses that were educating, because I love it when businesses are giving people education that can help them change their life. And so I worked with a lot of health and wellness companies. I worked with personal development and professional development companies, companies that are educating people on something, whether it's real estate, building wealth, personal development, health and wellness. I loved working with companies that helped to develop people and help them improve their lives through education. And so they had educational products like online courses and different things like that. And they had YouTube channels. So I do a lot with YouTube channels. And so that's what I decided was my most enjoyable client, because when you can become an expert at a specific topic, like if you're a writer or you're a videographer or a photographer or even a web designer, if you're an expert within a specific industry, you can do a lot better at your job because you really know that content and you know that audience really well because that's the types of clients you've worked with. And so I've had a much easier time finding clients when they look at my portfolio and they realize, oh, you've done a lot of work for other health and wellness companies or other personal development companies, and so you really get that audience. Even if I was just doing editing for them, just video editing alone, they saw that as a perk because the way I would edit the videos would be different because of my understanding of their audience and their business and that industry than if I didn't understand it very well. And they knew that. They knew that the type of videos that I would create would be different because of my deep understanding of that industry. And so I do encourage you to then focus in on what types of businesses and what type of industry you think you would enjoy most working with. And even based on the type of stuff you've done in the past, like what do you think could really work? And then there might be a bit of a learning curve where you start out a little bit more vague and then you narrow in, which is what I did. Step number 4 before you quit your job is to get out there and start networking. Go to networking events, download apps like Shapper, get on LinkedIn, do some networking online, start connecting with who you think your potential client would be. If it's a specific type of business, start connecting with people that are in that type of business or that are the business owners of that type of business. Whoever is going to be the person that actually would hire you and make the decision on whether to partner with you or not, start networking with those people. Start going to events and meeting people and start telling them what you do as a freelancer. Even if you're not fully doing it yet, start testing the waters by saying, hey, so I help businesses to, so here's an example of what I would say, even if I'm just getting started, okay? I'd be like, so I help online education businesses within the personal development or health and wellness industry to grow their online community through video. And that's how I would start. And then I would clarify what I mean by that as they ask me questions. And so you want to come up with some kind of power statement that you can use to describe what you do. Don't call yourself a freelancer ... Don't say, hey, I'm a freelance videographer. Hey, I'm a freelance programmer. It immediately reduces your value in their eyes when you attach the word freelancer to it. So just say what you can do for them and start seeing if you get any interest. And hey, you might get a client out of that. And then you're like, oh, great. I got my first client. Let me go and do some work on the side while I still have my job. And test the waters, because that's going to help you determine as well. It'll help you finesse what types of clients you want to work with, and even what your service is going to be as you get out there and start talking to people. You can only come up with so many ideas within the comfort of your own home. It's when I went out and started networking with people that I really started to finesse and hone in on what I wanted my business to be about and what I wanted and who I wanted to serve with it. And again, it doesn't take a ton of time. Pick one networking event per week to go to that's like an hour or two long, or just network in your free time using online tools like LinkedIn and Shapper, and just start testing the waters and start making those connections so that when you're ready to phase into it full time, you already have this network of people that you can go to. Step number 5 is take the time to get educated. That's a great thing that you can do before you quit your job, is start filling your mind with tons of education related to freelancing, related to working at home. And obviously this YouTube channel is one source of education that you can get regarding how to build a freelance business and how to master the lifestyle of a freelancer, because you need to get educated on what that's going to look like working from home and being a freelancer, and start getting educated on what the lifestyle is that comes attached to that, as well as the business side of things. and listen to podcasts, go to other YouTube channels, go read blogs about freelancing. In my journey of becoming a successful freelancer, I've gotten to know some other successful freelancers. And so I want to encourage you, I'm going to tell you a couple of other websites you can go to that have really great education on freelancing and will really help you during this education step. One is Freelance to Win. Danny, he has a lot of great blog posts on how to freelance, how to use sites like Upwork. He's an expert in copywriting, and so he does a lot with copywriting. And especially if you're going to be a writer, he has really great stuff. Freelancetowin.com. Another one is doubleyourfreelancing.com. Brennan is the guy who runs that, and he has ran a successful freelance agency and made a lot of money doing freelancing, and he has really great blog posts and articles on freelancing and also how to pitch yourself as a consultant and how to double your rate. And he has some great courses and everything else that you can check out. doubleyourfreelancing.com. Also, Executives in Sweatpants is a great blog. I have a friend of mine who teaches just different things on how to freelance, how to work from home, and there's some great things to learn there. So those are a couple other resources you can check out on how to get educated. Education is so important and absolutely crucial as you're trying to transition into freelancing before you actually quit your job. The last step you need to take, step number 6 before you quit your full-time job, is to establish a morning routine. Your job that you have right now might start at 8 a.m., it might start at 9 a.m. Whenever it starts, you have to start building in time in your morning while you have your full-time job to develop yourself, for exercise, for getting educated. So step number 5, you're going to have to build in some time into your schedule to get educated. The morning is a great place to do that when your mind is very open and new and ready for new information. Working on yourself, developing your mindset, developing your skill set, getting educated, exercising, things that are going to develop yourself. Start establishing a morning routine to just develop yourself physically and mentally and emotionally. And because if you can't do that now with your full-time job, you're not going to do it when you are working at home freelancing full-time. So start establishing a morning routine, and you will be surprised that over time, after weeks and months of having a morning routine, it will change you. And you'll start attracting some opportunities into your career just by you putting some work into yourself in the morning and giving yourself that time. So that means that depending on when your job starts, you have to wake up a little earlier, which means you got to go to bed a little earlier. This kind of schedule is going to discipline you, because when you're a freelancer, you have to have discipline to succeed, because you don't have anyone else following up on you and telling you when to do what. You're establishing your own schedule. So you've got to start developing those self-disciplined habits now. So hopefully those 6 steps will help you on your way to transitioning into being a freelancer full-time. Hopefully that it gave you some insight on what you can do now before you go to quit your full-time job. I definitely don't encourage you to go rushing into quitting your job quite yet. Start doing these 6 things first and get these 6 things going before you think about quitting your full-time job, and it will give you a great foundation to transition into a freelance career. And one other way that you can get some education with step number 5 is to go check out my online masterclass. It's a video masterclass. It's 3 hours long. It's called the Solopreneur Journey. Just go to airlight.tv, scroll down to the bottom, enter your name and email, and you'll get 3 videos delivered into your email over the course of 3 days that will give you some really great foundational training on how to find success as a solopreneur or freelancer, and what that's going to look like for you, so that you can start building those foundations now while you still have income coming in through your current job. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos. And in the comment section below, I want you to write down in the comments, what out of the 6 steps are you going to start with? Because obviously there is a bit of a sequential order to those steps, but you can start getting educated now. You don't need to wait until you know what your service is going to be to start getting educated. So what to you was a step that stuck out to you the most, that you definitely are going to start immediately? And also tell me a little bit about what are you going to freelance about? What's going to be your talent that you turn into a business? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll be glad to have a conversation with you, and have a great day.